G'day, welcome back to the 40 channel. So this is part 2, so we're going to be chucking in wheel cylinders, new brake shoes, clean up all the backing plates, reinstall the axles, diff seals, diff oil, all that type of stuff. So that's going to be part 2. Let's get straight into it and no more mucking around. Let's do it. We've tried to clean all this up as much as we can just with a stripper disc. We'll hit it with a wire wheel, but we do have a fair bit of surface rust. Actually, it's a little bit deeper than surface rust, but so yeah, we still have a fair bit of rust on the inside of this backing plate, and sometimes it would be quite difficult to get in all these little tight places with a wire brush or especially a stripper disc. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to use the Chem Tools rust remover. Now, it's not a rust converter, it's not going to convert, it's actually going to remove all this rust. So you can see I've started to clean up here with a stripper disc and just realised I'm never going to get into all these tight little spaces. So we'll give it a good soak. You can either soak it, you can spray it on with a spray bottle. I'm just going to use a paintbrush and just pretty generously soak that all over it, and we'll come back and see how that all comes up. Be pretty generous. Righto, so we'll give that about an hour and we'll see how that all comes up. Righto, so that's after a couple of hours. You can still see there's a little bit of rust up here. So what we can do is just reapply it, and we can leave it and come back to it. This is something I don't film much of, mainly because it's really boring for you guys to watch, just cleaning parts. So for every part I take off, I get a really good clean. And most of the time, it's pretty cool. Most of the time the stuff comes up really clean and like new. And if it doesn't, we either restore it or replace it, so that's pretty cool. You don't have to have a big parts washer like this. You can just do it in a little bucket, some parts solvent washer from Chem Tools, chuck it in there, little brush, clean it up, works just as well. But lucky for me, Chem Tools has hooked me up and given me this parts cleaner, and just makes the job so much easier. Right, so when chucking in these hold down bolts, they've got a sort of a funny shaped head, and the reason for that is just so it locates on the back, so when you slide it through and you do up your nut, it doesn't spin. 14 mil. Righto, so new wheel cylinders. So we've got the backing plate on, it's all been cleaned up, stripped down, repainted, cleaned up all the nuts and bolts, new bearings and seals are in. Now there's the genuine Toyota ones. Now to be honest, I could strip these down and rebuild them because the seals are blowing out, was leaking. It made a mess in both of them, especially the driver's side, just leaked out brake fluid everywhere. But because I'm struggling with time on this build, just trying to keeping it moving, and being winter over here in Australia, it's been freezing cold. we don't have as much daylight. I just don't have the time to really rip into it. So I jumped onto the online auto parts webpage and checked out what I needed and ordered the parts, and they turned up nice and quick, so that made life easier for me. Now, something you do have to take note of. So you have 2 wheel cylinders for each side, so you need a total of 8 wheel cylinders for the entire vehicle. So 4 for the front and 4 for the rear, which is unlike all your new ones. You only have 1 wheel cylinder for any of the newer vehicles. But you do have to take note of exactly which way the orientation goes. So you do have a front and a rear and a left and a right, and if you get them mixed up, it could play a bit of havoc. So the easiest way to do it is take note of exactly the way they came off and put them back on. But if you've forgotten, well, I'll show you which way they go. Righto, so there's our brand new one from Online Auto Parts. Now, a sensational piece of kit. It's got all new seals in it. Well, the whole thing's brand new, so you know that you're not going to have an issue straight off the bat. Righto, so the left side of the vehicle. So passenger side for Australia, driver's side for you other little nations out there that are a little back to front. So front left, we want to make our adjuster cog at the top. Look at that, brand new little bolts. Screw them into the back. Just make sure that plugs in there, just to protect everything while we're waiting. And our adjuster cog on the rear of the left side faces down. So that's the left rear brake drum setup. Adjuster at the top, adjuster at the bottom. Done. You right, Maggie? You're not really helping, honestly. No, your breath stinks. Just back off. Back off. Can I just do these bolts up, please? Get out of the way. Stop! Righto, brand new brake shoes, asbestos free. That's always a good thing. Righto, now you've got your thick end and your thin end. Your thick end goes into your adjuster cog, but we have a small little problem. The thick end here is, it's not that the thick end's too thick, because that will fit perfectly into your genuine brake cylinder. Now I measured it up. Thanks, dog. So I measured this up. This is not going to work, dog. Out of the way, Maggie. So I measured this up. The genuine one is 9mm and your aftermarket one's 8mm. So it's 1mm difference, but that's enough just to bind this up and won't fit. Now, it's not ideal, but the quick, easy fix is just grind that back just very slightly, 0.5 millimeter each side, and then we'll be able to drop it in. So we'll do that. It won't hold us up. It's not going to affect the whole assembly of the brake. It's not going to affect the braking capabilities. It's just that you got to do that little bit of extra to make it fit for this this instance. So anyway, carry on, quickly do that, and we'll fit them up. Righto, so that's it. Just ground it back a fraction. Quick, easy little fix. Sure, a lot of you are probably saying you shouldn't have to do that. Look, I agree with you, but sometimes things arise as you're building a car or doing whatever you're doing. But for every problem you come across, just come up with a quick solution and keep moving forward. Righto, so let's keep moving forward. Let's drop our springs in. So they just hook up into the top there. A thick piece, like we were saying before, goes into our adjuster cog. Again, we just drop our springs, hook our springs into the bottom one. So we've just got our springs attached to the top and the bottom. Now all we need to do is just push that down. Oops. Pop one side in, and if that's popped out, that's not a big deal. Just pop that other spring back in if it pops out. Well, we might have to turn that actually. And just lift that down. Done. Doesn't get much easier than that really. Righto, so normally you'd be doing a full brake change. You'd have all your axle in, all that type of stuff, but since I had it off, it gives me full access to it, so I thought I may as well do it now. But normally you do exactly the same thing, you've just got your hub there in the way. Talking about that, let's put our axle shafts and all that stuff back in and complete this off, eh? Alright, so we've got a little dust ring that just sits straight on the back of the axle shaft there. Now, as you may remember, we pulled off a gasket. So the gasket was pretty much destroyed, so it's no good. Obviously went between the dust seal and the axle shaft here. Now we've cleaned all that up, that's ready to go. But what we're going to do, so your Rapid Stick 8518. Now this stuff here is a gasket sealant. You know there's going to be a bit of oil and grease, there's going to be dirt, mud, water, all that type of stuff here. So this stuff will seal all that out. And it has a bit of a flexible bond too, so it's going to work really, really well. So it's going to run a small bead around here. We're going to drop our seal in, then we're going to drop our wheel nut straight on. That's done, ready to go back on the car. And hopefully back on four wheels again. Put a small bead right around, and we're going to go around each wheel nut hole. Drop our dust seal over. I'm actually going to give it a bit of movement over there so it gives that nice seal. Get it between both surfaces to drop in our wheel nuts. Just put two in at a time. We're going to use a big pin punch. Just tap them in. Right, another little trick. Once we've tapped them all with a hammer, some washers on, your wheel nut on. And bring them all home. So do opposite sides. The big problem with putting in either new or the used wheel nuts, if they're in good condition like these ones, is that when you go to put your new tyre on, the first time you do them up, it's still pulling them home. And the risk is that you can be driving around and not realise it, and your wheel nuts will become loose because this is slowly pulling them in. And before you know it, you've damaged your rim, your wheel, everything. So by doing this, we're already reseating all our studs. Tricky part is to get it all to line up to my spline. Right, that's in. Put our C-clip on and we can pull it back out against that C-clip. We'll do the same on the other side. Right, you can see the end of the shaft here. Just got our C-clip, our magnet, and we'll slide that in place like that. Now we'll just pull the other end of the shaft out. And that's it. We'll do the same to the other side. And we'll lock it all up and we're done. Just cover all the internals with a rag and with a razor blade. Just clean off that machine surface so it's nice and clean for our new gasket. Especially pieces like that, you want to get rid of all those old big chunky bits of gasket so we get a nice good seal on it all. So exactly the same to this side here. Make sure you get all that old gasket off. A bit of a burr just here. We'll just hit that with a file and just clean that back so it can seal nicely. Righto, so we've got our new gaskets here. I'm just going to run a really thin bead of gasket sealer around the gasket and around this flange. Make sure you line your gasket up top and bottom so you've got your grooves lined up. Okay, we'll just push that on with that gasket sealant. We'll just hold it in place until we put our backing plate on. Make sure you line up all your grooves. .25 foot-pound. Righto, to get the oil in your diff, this is by far the easiest way. Sensational, just fill it up and just pump away. Pick them up at, I don't know, hardware stores, mechanic shops, auto shops. I totally recommend getting one because man, it'll make your life easier. I'm just using ADW90 diff oil. There's heaps of different brands of diff oil out there, or oil. I've chosen this one because it's Australian made. If you don't know by now, I love Australian made products. Righto, so 2.5 litres. It is spot on because it's just, I can just see the level and it's just starting to weep out of the hole. So 2.5 litres, spot on for your diff. Righto, line it up over the studs. Don't get your fingers caught. That on, all the way. Yep. Now, we're going to put these 2 little retainer bolts in here. I had to make some. Yep, screw them in. Now we're going to have to try to buy some more genuine looking ones. We just made these.
Yeah.
There you go.
How do you keep it in?
Because we're going to buy new ones and put them on. These tyres are only just going on to get it back on all fours. And then we'll put new ones back on once we get new rims, new tyres.
Very rusty.
And new nuts. Yeah, that's why these ones, we'll get some different ones. A bit of dirt. You might give that a bit of a quick clean in there so we don't dirty all this up. Good job. Righto. Throw one of those wheel nuts on the top. Other way. Now spin around. Yep. So the taper goes into the wheel.
Where?
Directly opposite it.
That one was... Put them on.
Yep, do them up. Other one. Bit more, till it clicks. Keep going.
Yes.
Yeah, a bit more.
And this one?
Yep. Alright, we're going to chuck this wheel back on now, Andy.
Why are they oval?
These,
Yes.
well, somewhere along its line, someone hasn't done the nuts up properly, and it's spun and it's wore them all out.
So I do, but
Yep.
then I went oval shape, not circle shape.
Yep, so this rim is no good.
Not pear shape.
Yeah, a bit pear-shaped. So you want to help me put this one on? There's 2 wheel nuts. So we're just going to put this wheel on again, like all the others, just to get it rolling so we can keep working on it. But we're going to get all new rims. Well, hopefully we're going to get new rims, new tyres. A little bit easier because they're oval. Alright.
A bit bigger.
Yeah, that's right, the holes are big, aren't they? Alright, screw one of those wheel nuts on. Yep.
Okay, spray
Right, get
it.
the rattle gun. Yeah, put a little bit of spray on. That'll just help it go on a little bit better.
There we go.
Good job. Jack out.
Ooh, that really hit me.
Just slide out. Yep. Pull them out of the way. Now, Andy,
Yeah.
I want you to grab that jack handle and turn it anti-clockwise.
That way.
Yep, keep turning it.
Ooh,
Done.
that scared me. Why was it blood when you were out?
Oh, just so it protected it.
Ta-da.
Guess what? It's back on all fours again.
It's an animal again.
An animal. Push. Good job. Back on all fours again. Righto. So this is a pretty exciting moment, isn't it, Andy?
Yes.
Back on all 4 wheels. Pretty cool. So I had to have you come down and help me. Where's Jack gone?
Work.
Jack's gone to work again. Jack's gone to work again. So anyway, but exciting moment. Back on all 4 wheels. Now we can focus on building it back up again, can't we?
Yeah.
So So we're not sure what we're going to do with the motor. I'm not totally convinced it sees. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to pull the gearbox off it and we're going to see if we can get it free turning again. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we might be able to save the motor, but we'll see what happens. You've come up for a name with the fire truck, haven't you?
Yes.
What is it?
Sam.
Sam. Sam as in what?
Samantha.
Samantha. And why Sam?
Because Fireman Sam.
Fireman Sam. So Andy's named it Samantha. So from now on, the fire truck will be Fire Truck Samantha. Yep?
Yep.
Righto. That's what it's going to be. So someone will own this fire truck, and will they have to call it Samantha as well?
Yeah.
All right. There you go. Locked in. Anyway, guys, appreciate your support. Make sure you subscribe if you want to keep following the build. Feel free to leave a thumbs up or leave a comment. Anyway, until next time, take care of yourselves.